What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28. That is the one, the only Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage Scott. Happy Canada Day, buddy.
Happy Canada Day. It snuck up on me this year.
Just one day rolls into the next, it seems. Dude, we got an interesting show lined up for us today. Did PlayStation Japan leak another Sony-acquired studio? Could we also see a new Silent Hill? And mobile gamers are spending so much money. You can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, it's not a big deal. Hit us up later at InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, any plans for today?
Not a whole lot. I'm pretty loaded up on reviews. A lot of good games, but
Yep.
I'll
Yeah.
talk about that in depth this week's episode.
That's fair. That's fair. We're not doing too much either. It's supposed to rain, so that kind of ruins a lot of plans, I think, for everybody. So it just means more game time. I think. Let's just. I've got like you. I've got some games I got to get playing too. So I'm playing one right now, dude. I'm into a stealth game right now. I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to talk about it. So finally, and no, it's not Splinter Cell.
I know.
I had your hopes up for a second. Actually, I went back to play Blacklist. That's what I'm playing. No, I'm not playing that. I should actually.
I went back to play the first one, and I'm kind of slowly working my way through. But
dude, did you give up on it, or are you still playing it?
I'm still playing it. Actually, it's just I got hung up in areas I couldn't remember ever getting hung up on. Like I think I beat that game when I was 10 years old. What's going on? But I figured it out. I pushed forward. I think I'm in the CIA level now.
Nice, dude. It's been so long since I played. I might go back to Blacklist. I want to play some Spies versus Mercs.
I can't. It's funny. I know I've beaten Blacklist, but I almost can't remember any of it except for the one sniper African level.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the only part I can remember.
Dude, it's been a long time, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
that was 2 generations ago. So let's
more than a decade for me.
All right, so let's get into today's show. PlayStation Japan may have accidentally leaked a Blue Point Games acquisition. PlayStation Japan Twitter tweeted, "Welcome to the family," regarding Sony's acquisition of Housemarque. The image attached to the now deleted tweet showed Blue Point Games logo instead of Housemarque. Dude, whoops. This has led many to believe Sony has also acquired Dark Souls remake developer Blue Point. Speculations, man, are now flying. Scott, like, let's be honest. How do you accidentally put the Blue Point Games logo on there and not Housemarque?
Yeah, and it tells me that was a file sitting in the folder for sure. Yeah, I think maybe an intern got a harsh talking to after that. But I did actually happen to see that while it was happening live, and the Twitter response to that was, first of all, everybody wanted to laugh and joke because they made a mistake, they messed up. But at the same time, well, what does this mean? You know, Blue Point's made quite a lot of games in the past.
Oh man,
the Metal Gear HD trilogy actually is one of them, and there's a lot that could be had from an acquisition of Blue Point. So it kind of set the internet on fire for a moment, but they have yet to acknowledge it, I believe.
Like, Blue Point does all the remasters, man, and it's such a high quality too, and they've always dipped their toes in, and they're not first party studio, but yet they're this third party company that does, I'd almost call them second party towards PlayStation, because they mostly work on exclusive content, remastering stuff. And dude, nobody remasters a game better than Blue Point.
Yeah, they have done several. I believe the Dark Souls,
Shadow of Colossus, man,
and they also are the primary creators of the PlayStation, what I like to call Sony Smash Bros. The PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, that's from them too. So that's some very Sony-centric property that they work with. So it certainly would make sense if this was an acquisition.
Just think of that title for a quick sec, Scott. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. The term Battle Royale has changed dramatically since the PlayStation All-Stars launched back on the PS3 and PS Vita, man. It was now Battle Royale is its own genre, and that's not even going to happen. I wonder what they would do now if they were able to make another PlayStation All-Stars game.
Yeah, I think it's been long enough, and I think the first, or I believe there was 2 All-Stars games, perhaps, but I think that it had enough hunger and enough fan support behind it that I think this might be the right time for another one of those. Now, on the other side of the fence, if Sony did not acquire Blue Point, but they had an offer, how long until Microsoft comes by and puts a 0 on that number and buys Blue Point outright? If we could have an Xbox Smash Bros. I
Oh,
would be very happy with that.
dude, that would be cool as well, right? I think Blue Point would be. I think it'd be a smart move by PlayStation to buy them. They're looking to acquire new studios, and I just saw on Twitter that they actually bought Nixus, I think it said. So that was, and then they're going to help work with other studios alongside PlayStation to help develop other games and titles that are coming. That's what we already know. There's 25 games working in development right now for PlayStation 5, 12 of which I believe are new IPs. So it's curious. I'm curious to see if they were able to pick up Blue Point, what would they do, Scott? Would they work on another remaster, or is it a new IP? Because Blue Point doesn't do new IPs typically, right? They take a well-known franchise and give it the rehash that it kind of needs to step into the next generation. So maybe they should talk to Konami and pick up Metal Gear and redo that one. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Man, can you imagine? I would love a remake of Metal Gear 1, Scott. It's been so long. And if they could work out a deal with Blue Point, PlayStation, and Konami, dude, we know we're not going to get another Metal Gear out of Kojima. So why not go back to a fan favorite game genre and try and bring that back? You know how much that would probably sell? Oh, dude.
Oh, it absolutely would. And it makes me wonder if they're not going to do that as a remaster. What kind of things do you think would come from PlayStation 4 over to 5 potentially? I suppose PlayStation 3 is not out of the question either. With
Jak and Daxter. Dude, where's Jak and Daxter? That's one where we haven't seen in forever because we've now known that Naughty Dog has moved on and they're on the Last of Us content, right? They're not going to go back to Jak and Daxter, so why not give it to Blue Point then? They could remake the trilogy if they wanted to, or maybe you give them the freedom to create their own Jak and Daxter version of the game. That would be awesome.
And a Jak Daxter, or I think it was just Jak 2?
Yeah.
A remaster of that, dude, would be awesome.
Dude, I played the entire trilogy. So we've seen the rise of the mascot come back a little bit, right? We saw Crash come back in a huge way. So why not keep that momentum going as well? So maybe we can get a new Jax game. That would be, man, I would love a new Jak game. It's been so long. I don't know if I want to remaster those, Scott, or a new one. I think I'd rather have a new one than a remastered version. But if Blue Point's taking it on, they're probably going to do a remastered version. I could only imagine how well that would look now on the PS5. Dude, that'd be sick.
That would be. Oh, I'm getting the loudest motorcycle ever passing my location right now.
It's all good. Scott, why don't we move on to some Xbox is the official console of Battlefield 2042. I really don't think this means anything. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I read this article, and I kind of thought, well, really? Because we all know PlayStation 5 is going to get the exact same thing. So what is going to make it official, the official console? The article went, DICE and EA have announced a slew of new partnerships in preparation for Battlefield 2042's October 22nd release. The Microsoft Xbox Series X and S is one of them. DICE and EA announced 4 other partnerships in preparation for Battlefield's release as well. NVIDIA, the ultimate PC experience, Logitech, to ensure players have Logitech integration, Polaris, to bring players the opportunity to operate authentic Polaris vehicles in Battlefield 2042, and WB Black, to ensure gamers have the best possible gaming experience there as well. All 5 partnerships have been seemingly inked? Yeah, this was says to bolster Battlefield 2042's gaming performances across both PC and Xbox consoles. Now, but it's still coming to PS4 and PS5. So
yeah, well, and the PS5, I just assume now is going to have some sort of haptic trigger response too, right? Some haptic feedback. That's the big thing they're pushing. So
sure,
that's a feature that we're not going to see on the Series X console.
Nope. You think, talking about haptic feedback, Scott, do you think Xbox, with their next iteration of controllers, will get into that scenario with bringing in haptic feedback as well?
I think they might. I think it's been enough of a maybe not a game changer, but it's been such a feature that I think players have responded to from the PS5, even more than the PlayStation 5, where any of the developers have been advertising it. It's more that we hear about it from the consumer side. And I think because of that, Xbox will respond in kind with something to kind of change up their controller. It's been basically the 360 controller since Xbox 360, so it is definitely time for an upgrade.
Yeah, I think if you want to upgrade, you also have the Elite controller, which, dude, I love my Elite
That is
controller.
true.
That thing is incredible.
I don't even think I've held one in my hands.
Oh, there's a lot of weight behind it, and I kind of like how hefty it is. And when I go from that controller to other controllers, I'm like, ooh, this feels a little light. So, but it's awesome because you're able to adjust the triggers. And being big Rainbow Six fans, dude, I dial it all the way down. So the minute I just barely touch my trigger and it snaps off. It's such a game changer. I know it's helped improve my game, believe it or not. Like, I don't normally go for these gimmicky like things, but the Elite controller has actually stepped up my game when it comes to first person shooters. Just because I don't have this full length of the trigger to go down, right? But now when you get into haptic feedback, a lot of people on the PlayStation side turn it off. Dude,
Really?
When it gets into competitive play, right? The last thing you need is the force feedback shoving your finger forward as you're trying to hold down the trigger to shoot somebody. So they will automatically just turn it off. Because the last thing you want to do is be in Rainbow Six and you're fighting with the controller or the gun jams or anything along that line, right? Because that's what I think it enhances single player experiences. When it comes to multiplayer, that's where there's a bit of a disconnect, right? Because you don't want to be fighting with a controller to get the advantage ahead of your competitor. So when it gets to the single player, though, what I want to see, Scott, is them dialed in more on the actual trigger. Because what happens is, it's force feedback, right? Okay, cool. Haptic gaming is now become a thing, and the haptic triggers is cool. But it's when you pull the trigger, Scott, and you haven't had a chance yet to take a look at it. But when you actually pull the trigger, your R2, it goes down halfway. So my latest game, Ratchet Clank Rift Apart, you went halfway and it like stops and it forces you to pull the rest. I want like a fluid, more fluid motion, right? Have it shoot back on me or force it backwards a little bit, so I have to go all the way down. But it almost feels like a mid button. So you kind of like, if you're sniping, you kind of hold your breath. It'd almost be like hold the trigger halfway down and then it stops and then pull the rest of the trigger. But it almost like you're hitting like a block when you go part way down. It's a bit of a weird scenario.
That's interesting. I wonder if they're trying to model that after like a firearm trigger.
Right.
Just a traditional, because that would have some resistance to it and perhaps a midpoint where it kind of gets stronger. Maybe that's kind of the thinking behind it, but it opens up a whole opportunity of different controls if those become 2 buttons instead of just 1.
Well, basically, that's what they've done, right? So in Ratchet and Clank, you can even hold it down to aim. There's certain ones that you kind of set off like a grenade. So you hold down and it aims, and then you pull the rest of the way, and then it shoots. So it's kind of got this bit of a thing. But for certain games, dude, I don't want that stop motion, right? I want it to be all the way through with force feedback, so I can feel like when their biggest thing right now is with Horizon Forbidden West, when you pull back on the bow and arrow, you'll feel yourself pulling that back, right? So I want to feel the pressure then in that trigger to pull it all the way back. I don't want it to stop halfway, and then like it acts like 2 buttons.
If it exponentially kind of got tougher as you pull it, that would match the bowstring much better. And
exactly,
it would be interesting if they could do specifically stuff like that for each game. That sounds really cool. The more you talk about it, the more I'm jealous. I have yet to even hold a PlayStation 5 controller.
It's cool. I like it, and I do like the touchpad too. That touchpad sometimes when they implement it for like a map or anything like that is really cool. Otherwise, it feels kind of gimmicky, but for the most part, I really do love the DualSense controller for the PS5. It definitely changed everything in the way it rumbles and such. Like that's what I said. You talk about Returnal. I think that's one of the standouts alone. When the raindrops hit the controller, Scott, like it was just a game changer. I was like, holy crap, I can feel the raindrops. Like it was so cool.
No, I can't wait to see that in Horizon Forbidden West with all the giant machinery coming around you and stuff, and the kind of response that'll give you. I think it's a big opportunity for these.
Absolutely. We'll see if we get it this holiday season or not. They're aiming for it, but it wouldn't be too surprising to see it delayed to 2022. But fingers crossed, Scott. Let's take a look. The medium developer Blooper team working with Konami on new projects. Scott, this is where the speculations come in, buddy. Konami has officially announced it's teaming up with horror game maker Blooper Team, the developer behind The Medium, Observer, and Layers of Fear. As part of the new partnership, the two will co-develop games. Neither Konami nor Bloober team have said specifically what projects they're going to be working on together. Now, Scott, everybody immediately jumped into Silent Hill, dude. Like, that's
Oh,
where this
yes.
just like, no, they're working on Silent Hill. So I think people are more
No,
excited and hopeful than anything else. But we'll see what they work on, man, because Bloober is nailing the horror genre right now.
yeah, well, people really want to see Silent Hill, right? So I'm not sure if it's a matter of it being actually plausible, which it
Sure.
does seem like it would be, but I don't know if they own the property to make a Silent Hill, that kind of thing. I'm not sure how realistic it really is, but Bloober, it would be the right people to handle that kind of stuff. I don't. I'm gonna make the assumption you haven't played Layers of Fear, just because I know the games you like and
That's a good assumption.
I would recommend it to you though, because
No.
it makes you think, and it's no, they are really interesting games actually. So if Silent Hill did fall to them, I would expect a very high quality release.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now that Kojima's gone, right, and everybody's hopes for Kojima wanted to make the next Silent Hill. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And then we get this whole speculation of Abandon going on too with Blue Box and what's happening over there. Dude, it's just been one rumor after another, and then all of a sudden this partnership is formed, and now everybody's jumped ship and hoping that Bloober will be the ones to develop a Silent Hill title. I think it makes a lot of sense. They are well known in that genre, that specific horror genre, so why not hand them one of your best IPs and let them go to town with a new Silent Hill game? I think that'd be a perfect fit.
Oh, I would love to see the Kojima cut, so to speak, of Silent Hill though.
PT.
That would be mind blowing.
It was
actually, yeah, you're
right?
correct. I believe that was PT, but
Yeah,
the PT is just
dead.
it's gone.
It's
Yeah,
dead.
It's dust in the wind now.
You can, if you have it, if you were able to download it on your PS3, that is the place it will stay, and never delete it because you will never get it back. It'll
And
be
that
just
PlayStation
gone.
3 is now worth a huge amount of money.
I would assume so, right? But yeah, so if you do have PT, be lucky you have it. Vinny McG joins us up in twitch.tv/the official ITG and says PT2. Dude, I don't know about that. We'll see. You never know, right? So I'm curious where Kojima goes next. He's already teasing that he's working on something, but I don't think it's necessarily horror specific, Scott. Do you think that's what Kojima comes out with next?
Well, I don't think it would be explicitly horror.
Sure.
I think it's kind of going to be a blend of genres, as I think he kind of usually does.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not going to be a sports game. So
That's PES 2.
it opens up the possibilities for something like this, or action horror. That's a great combination that would fit Kojima very well. But no, I have huge amount of curiosity, or maybe this is the next, major release, major series from him. Death Stranding didn't really take off in the way that he imagined, I don't think, and maybe it's time for a third giant behemoth to be spawned by him. Metal Gear, the pre-sequel. Who knows?
Oh man, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But Scott, let's jump into the world of mobile. Gamers have spent nearly $45 billion in 2021 so far.
Holy.
Global consumer spending on mobile games reached $44.7 billion in the first half of 2021. That's according to Sensor Tower estimates shared with GamesIndustry.biz, and marks a 17.9% increase when compared to the first 6 months of 2020. Apple's App Store accounted for more than half of this, with $26 billion, up 13.5 year over year, while game spending on Google Play rose 24.7 to $18.7 billion. The highest gross games for H1 2021 were Honor of Kings, PUBG Mobile, Genshin Impact, Roblox, and Coin Master, respectively. PUBG Mobile revenues increased those for Games for Peace, which is they had an event going on. The iOS version, as well, released specifically in China. So that's their version. So we got PUBG Mobile over here, and they get Game for Peace. which is a weird title over in China, but that's what they get. Overall
It's kind of
consumer
a strange title for the content of the game.
Absolutely. Overall consumer spending across both Apple and Google Store reached $64.9 billion, meaning games accounted for 68.9% of the dollars spent. Total spending was 24.8% higher than the $52 billion recorded in H1 2020. Dude, the most downloaded games were Join Clash 3D, Free Fire, which is it's almost like a PUBG kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of remember when H1Z1 came out? It kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah, actually, I do remember that. That was like the first PUBG kind of scenario.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And then you got High Heels. Really? I don't know. I have no idea what that one is. Bridge Race, and of course, Among Us. So, dude, the mobile market is a thriving industry that is no shortage on making money.
How long until Apple buys a small nation?
Like, seriously. Man, they're just killing it over there in that mobile market. And then they've launched Apple Arcade, which you can buy a subscription service for. So I'm sure that helps account for some of this spending as well, right?
It's just the amount of dollars spent is just mind blowing to me. Like I had always known mobile was out there, and in the last year we've kind of discussed how mobile is absolutely giant. So it makes sense that a lot of these developers are making mobile spin-offs and stuff like that.
Yep.
But just to see the numbers though is
massive.
It's massive. Yeah, exactly.
No, for sure. Scott, this one's for you, buddy. A Control sequel and multiplayer spin-off in the works at Remedy. Dude, how excited are you for this one?
Oh man, I am actually hyped for this one. Sequel to Control would be great, but I played Control very recently, and I felt like I was in the end of the game for over 6 hours. It did a little. It kind of pressed on my endurance a little bit. So I'm excited to see something new come out of that, though, because it's really just they have the best plot device ever. There's just anything supernatural can happen in Control, and it does.
That's cool. Remedy Entertainment and 505 Games have announced a new game set in the Control universe is in the works alongside with the sequel to the popular game. The Control spin-off, codenamed Condor, is a multiplayer game set in the game's same world. Scott, what do you expect? What do you think we're going to get when it comes to a multiplayer spin-off?
Well, I think it'll... for once, I don't think it's going to be a battle royale. That's generally my response.
That's your go-to. Yeah.
Yeah. But in this case, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense. Sure. I think we'll see some kind of class-based free-for-all matches. I could see that happening for sure. They could do a two-sided team deathmatch kind of thing between what's known as the Hiss in that game and just the Control Bureau. And those two could be fighting, as they do in Control 1.
Sure.
But it's definitely not an easy jump to see. There's a lot of things they could do, but it's not certain what they are going to do at all.
Yeah, I guess time will tell. Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show, buddy. It's been ITG Daily, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, you can join us live every day, Monday to Friday, over at twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube. And if you can't join us live, it's no big deal. Hit us up later, InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the world. Everybody, happy Canada Day, and we'll see you tomorrow inside the game.